The great hall of Blackthorn Peak was silent except for the sound of boots against stone. Alpha King Damian Cross sat on his throne, his face hard as carved rock. 5 years had passed since he lost the only woman he ever loved, and in that time he had built a wall around his heart so thick that even his closest advisors no longer tried to reach him. Today, that wall was about to crack. 2 guards dragged a young woman into the hall. Her wrists were bound with rope, her clothes were torn at the hem, and her dark hair fell messily across her face. She did not cry out or beg. She simply walked forward, with her chin lifted, as if she refused to let fear control her. "Alpha," one guard announced. "This woman was caught stealing food from the royal storehouse." Damian's eyes narrowed. Theft from the storehouse was a serious crime in Blackthorn Peak, especially during the harsh winter months, when supplies were already stretched thin. He had grown used to punishing wrongdoers without hesitation. Mercy had become a luxury he could not afford as a ruler who had lost everything. "Explain yourself," he said, his voice low and commanding. The woman lifted her gaze to meet his. Her eyes were a deep shade of brown, almost golden in the torchlight. "There are children in the border village," she said steadily. "Orphans, pups who lost their parents in the last raid. They had nothing to eat. I took only what was needed to keep them alive." A murmur spread through the hall. Some of the older wolves exchanged uncertain glances, but Damian's expression did not soften. He had heard excuses before, some more convincing than hers. "The law does not bend for good intentions," he said. "Take her to the punishment chamber." The guards moved to grab her arms. Panic flickered across the woman's face for the first time, and her wolf, sensing danger, surged forward beneath her skin. In that moment of fear, the sleeve of her tattered dress slipped down, revealing a mark on her wrist, a pale crescent moon, faint but unmistakable. Damian froze. He knew that mark. He would know it anywhere, in any lifetime. It was the mark of the true Luna bloodline, a mark that belonged to only one woman he had ever known. Elena. "Wait," he said, his voice suddenly sharp with urgency. The guards halted immediately, startled by the change in their king's tone. Damian rose from his throne and walked toward the woman, his heart pounding in a way it had not in 5 long years. As he came closer, something inside him stirred, a pull so powerful it nearly brought him to his knees. The mate bond, the one he believed had died the night Elena disappeared, roared back to life with a force that stole the breath from his lungs. "What is your name?" he asked, though his voice trembled slightly. "Mira," she answered, confused by the intensity in his gaze. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Damian reached for her wrist gently, turning it to look closer at the crescent mark. His hands were shaking now, something none of his guards had ever witnessed. "Where did you get this mark?" "I don't know," Mira admitted. "I have had it as long as I can remember, which is not very long." "What do you mean?" Mira hesitated, clearly uncomfortable sharing something so personal in front of a room full of strangers. "I was found in the forest 5 years ago. I had no memory of who I was, where I came from, or what my name should be. The healers in the village gave me the name Mira because I could not remember one of my own. 5 years, the same amount of time since Elena vanished." Damian ordered the guards to release her bindings at once. He called for the pack's oldest healer, a woman named Greta, who had served the royal family for decades. When Greta arrived and saw Mira's face, her expression shifted from confusion to shock. "By the moon," Greta whispered, "it cannot be." "You recognize her," Damian said. It was not a question. Greta nodded slowly. 5 years ago, after the raid on the northern border, I treated a woman who had been found half drowned in the river, far from the battle. She had wounds consistent with an attack, and she had lost all memory of herself. I tried to help her, but she disappeared from my care before I could learn more. I always wondered what became of her. "Was there a mark on her wrist?" Damian asked, though he already knew the answer. "Yes," Greta said. "A crescent moon, just like that one." The hall fell into stunned silence. Everyone present understood the weight of what was being revealed. Their king, who had ruled alone and grieving for 5 long years, was standing before the mate he believed he had lost forever. Mira looked between Damien and the healer, her mind spinning with questions she could not answer. I do not understand what is happening. Who am I supposed to be? Damien took a steadying breath before he spoke. 5 years ago, our territory was attacked by a rival pack during the night of the winter gathering. In the chaos, my mate, my Luna, Elena, disappeared. We searched for months, but we found no trace of her. Eventually, we believed she had died in the raid. And you think I am her? Mira asked, disbelief evident in her voice. I do not think it, Damien said quietly. I feel it. The mate bond does not lie. The moment I came close to you, I felt it reawaken, stronger than anything I have felt in 5 years. Mira took a step back, overwhelmed. Everything about this moment felt impossible, yet something deep inside her, buried beneath years of confusion and loneliness, recognized the truth in his words. There was a warmth in his presence that felt strangely familiar, like a memory just out of reach. I need time, she said softly. This is too much to accept all at once. Damien nodded, though it clearly pained him to agree. Take all the time you need, but please, do not leave. Stay here, in the castle, where you will be safe. Mira agreed reluctantly, mostly because she had nowhere else to go, and because a part of her, one she did not fully understand yet, did not want to leave his side. Over the following weeks, Damien worked patiently to help Mira reconnect with pieces of her forgotten life. He showed her old paintings of Elena that hung in the castle halls, and Mira would stare at them for long minutes, feeling as though she were looking at a stranger who somehow wore her own face. He brought her to the garden where Elena used to spend her mornings tending to wildflowers, and Mira found herself instinctively reaching for a particular blue flower, one that had been Elena's favorite, without knowing why. Slowly, fragments began to surface. Small flashes of memory, like scattered puzzle pieces, appeared in her dreams, a wedding beneath the moonlight, a promise whispered between two people deeply in love, the sound of laughter echoing through castle halls that no longer felt entirely foreign. Despite the growing evidence, Mira struggled with fear. She was terrified of losing the identity she had built for herself as Mira, the quiet woman from the border village who cared for orphaned children and asked for nothing in return. Becoming Luna Elena again meant stepping into a life full of responsibility, danger, and a love so powerful it frightened her. Damien never pushed her. He simply stayed close, patient and steady, offering comfort without demanding anything in return. Slowly, Mira found herself trusting him, drawn to him not out of obligation, but out of a quiet, growing affection that felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. One evening, as they walked together through the castle gardens beneath a sky full of stars, Mira turned to him with a troubled expression. Why did the rival pack attack that night? What were they after? Damien's jaw tightened. We never fully understood their reasons. Some believed it was territory. Others believed it was personal, a grudge against our family. We never found proof of who ordered it. What if I know? Mira asked quietly. What if the memories are still there, just waiting? Before Damien could respond, a sudden commotion erupted near the castle gates. A messenger arrived, breathless and pale, warning that unknown wolves had been spotted near the border, moving with clear intent toward the castle. Damien immediately called his warriors to prepare for defense, but something about the timing troubled him deeply. It felt too coincidental that danger would arrive so soon after Mira's identity had come to light. That night, as chaos stirred through the castle, a group of intruders broke through the outer defenses, moving with startling precision toward the private chambers where Mira was staying. Damien, sensing danger through their newly reawakened bond, rushed to her side just as the intruders cornered her. Fear surged through Mira, but so did something else, a fierce determination she did not know she possessed. As the lead intruder lunged toward her, Damien intercepted him with a powerful strike, protecting her without hesitation. The fight that followed was fierce and desperate. Damien fought with the strength of a king, determined to never lose his mate again, while his warriors arrived to overwhelm the remaining attackers. In the chaos, Mira watched in horror as one intruder nearly overpowered Damien from behind. Without thinking, she screamed his name. The sound of her voice, filled with raw fear and love, shattered something deep within her mind. A wall that had held back her memories for 5 long years finally crumbled completely. In an instant, everything came rushing back. She remembered the night of the attack. She remembered fighting alongside her pack, being struck down near the river, and drifting helplessly downstream, while consciousness slipped away. Most importantly, she remembered who had orchestrated the entire raid, a bitter rival named Callum, who had once sought her hand before she chose Damien, and who had never forgiven either of them for it. Callum, she gasped, her memories now crystal clear. It was Callum. He ordered the attack because I refused him. With this knowledge, Damien's warriors quickly overpowered the remaining intruders, forcing one to reveal the truth under pressure. Callum, hiding in the shadows nearby, had believed enough time had passed for his secret to remain buried forever. He never anticipated that Elena would return, memories intact, ready to expose him. Cornered and desperate, Callum attempted one final assault, but Damien, fueled by years of grief, transformed into fierce protectiveness, defeated him decisively. Justice was finally served for the pain caused 5 years earlier. In the aftermath, as the castle began to heal from the night's chaos, Damien found Elena standing quietly in the garden where they had spent so many evenings together. She turned to him, her eyes now filled with clarity and recognition instead of confusion. "I remember everything," she said softly. "I remember loving you before I ever forgot who I was." Tears welled in Damien's eyes, something he had not allowed himself in 5 long years. "I never stopped loving you, even when I believed you were gone." Elena stepped closer, closing the distance between them. "I am sorry it took so long to find my way back to you." "You are here now," Damien whispered, pulling her into an embrace that felt like coming home after a long, painful journey. "That is all that matters." The following days brought celebration throughout Blackthorn Peak. Word spread quickly that their lost Luna had returned, her memory restored, and the truth behind the tragic raid finally exposed. The pack that had once mourned alongside their king now rejoiced with him, grateful for the return of hope they thought had been lost forever. Elena resumed her place beside Damien, not as a stranger stepping into an unfamiliar role, but as a woman who had rediscovered her true self through patience, courage, and love. She continued to care deeply for the orphaned children in the border village, now with the full support and resources of the kingdom behind her. Damien, once known only as a cold and distant ruler, softened in ways his people had not seen in years. His laughter returned, his patience grew. The warmth that Elena had always brought into his life once again filled the halls of Blackthorn Peak. Together, they ruled not with fear, but with compassion balanced by strength, proving that even the darkest chapters of loss and separation could lead to a story of reunion, healing, and enduring love. Blackthorn Peak thrived under their combined leadership, stronger and more united than ever before. And though the scars of the past remained a part of their story, they no longer defined it. Instead, their journey became a reminder to everyone in the kingdom that true love, once bonded, could survive even the deepest darkness and find its way home again.